Okay, this how-to video is going to talk about net scheduling. This is a feature that's available in the OrCAD PCB Designer Professional license and Allegro PCB Designer. What this does is gives me the ability to put a specific order of how I'm going to route a net. So if we look at this example here, I've got a connector, I've got an FPGA, 4 memory devices and some termination. I want to be very specific about how I route this. So what I can do is I can use the edit net schedule menu. I can then select the specific net that I want to do. I pick on the pin and you can see I get this kind of rat's nesty line. It just highlights all the relevant connect points. So I'm going to pick the pin on the FPGA, the pin on the memory, the pin on the memory, the pin on the memory, pin on the memory, and then the termination resistor at the end. So I'm just going to do a right click finish and then continue with the rest of these. So I want all 4 of these nets to be scheduled. So that's those 4 nets scheduled. I also want to schedule these nets up here. So I'm going to select this pin on the FPGA. Now this time what I want to do is I want to hit something called a T point. I want to put a point from the FPGA to a virtual point. So I can do a right click, insert T, pick the location from that, and then I'm going to go to this IC, back to the T point, to this IC. So that means if I set a rule, I can effectively set a rule that says I want to match these 2 halves from the T point to each IC. If we launch Constraint Manager now and look at our electrical and our wiring options, I now have something called a user-defined schedule. So we can just verify that schedule. You'll see that it's yellow, nothing's happened. So what I can do is I can go to Analyze, Analysis Modes. If we look at electrical options, the net schedule DRC isn't turned on, so we'll just turn that DRC on. You'll notice now that I'm passing that user-defined schedule. I've also got that other net down here that's not been verified, so we'll just turn that one on as well. Now there is another option here while we're in this workbook, something called the stub length. And what I want to do when I'm routing this schedule, if I was routing from the connector up to the FPGA, I've got a fan out via here. What I want to utilize is I want to use this fan out via for both halves of the connection point. Otherwise I'd have to route in from the connector to the via and then route another separate connection coming out to meet the schedule. By putting a stub length means that I can use that stub length via as a sharing via effectively, so I don't have to add another ground out via. So we'll just specify a distance here of 30 mils. That then gives me some default values and we're kind of good to start routing. And what we'll do is we'll just, as an example, we'll come over here to the nets. We'll do an add connect. I'll pick the connection. So I'm going to route out as I want to route it to the FPGA pin. I'm going to take it from the T point to this IC. Now in this example, if I didn't go directly from the T point, I would actually get a DRC. So I'm going to pick the C line and start to route, and you can see that I actually get a DRC here. If we hover over the DRC, I'm breaking the schedule that I've defined. So we'll just unroute that, and then we can add it back in again from the T point. I'm now meeting the schedule that I had. So if you go to Constraint Manager, I get a pass and I'm happy.